Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Lesser Known But Awesome Heroes. And today, I'm going to be plucking a character from the Image universe. And ironically is still one of two Image characters from when the company originally launched and are still being written / drawn and so on and so forth by the same people. And that is and one of those characters is Spawn. However, the one that I'm talking about today is pretty much the superhero cop equivalent of the Incredible Hulk in the Image universe. Yes, today I'll be talking about the character known as Savage Dragon. Now, Savage Dragon, his first appearance was actually as Paul Dragon in Graphic Fantasy issue number 1 in June of 1982. And Megatron issue 2 in October of 1985. Not to be confused with the Transformers villain. Now, as Savage Dragon, he appeared in Megatron issue number 3 in February of 1986. And he was created solely by artist / writer Eric Larson. Is how you pronounce that? Larsen. Now, as I said, he's one of two original Image Comics titles that are still being published, the other being Spawn. However, he is still the only one being written and drawn by his creator. He is also the longest running full-color comic book to feature a single artist / writer, the other one being Usagi Yojimbo from the Dark Horse universe. He's also had an animated series which ran for 2 seasons on the USA Network in 1995. And he has actually been considered one of the greatest comic book characters by Wizard Magazine and one of the greatest comic book heroes of all time by IGN. Now, Officer Dragon, if you will, has been part of the Liberty Legion, the Chicago PD, and the Special Operations Strike Force. His abilities include superhuman strength, stamina and durability, and accelerated healing. Now, if you want to get more logistical, which I can't seem to see anything, so I guess we'll just leave it at that. They don't really, I guess, talk more about his abilities beyond that. That saddens me. Oh well. Anyway. And a cool fact is that Savage Dragon was actually a concept that Larson came up with when he was in elementary school. He used to draw Savage Dragon in homemade comic books. The original Dragon was actually inspired by elements from Billy Batson's Captain Marvel, Batman, Speed Racer, and later the Incredible Hulk. Though it differs greatly from the modern incarnation, it was after launching him professionally that he returned to the original and reworked his designs into the characters William Johnson, a police officer who was an ally of Flash, and Flash Mercury, the Spectacular Dragon. And yeah, I'll just go ahead and leave it off with that. Now, here's the character's biography. For an initial miniseries in the first 38 issues of the ongoing series, Dragon was a full-fledged police officer in the Chicago PD, and he was partnered with Officer Alex Wilde. Dragon and Wilde would later have a casual sexual relationship. He received the name Dragon due to the dorsal fin on the top of his head and his green skin from nurse Ann Stevens, who would later become a supporting character in Mighty Man. In the miniseries, began with the very first issue, in which Dragon is found in a burning field by Lieutenant Frank Darling. It's at this point, actually, that Chicago is being terrorized by villainous super freaks, quote unquote, which was Larson's, term for superpowered beings in the Savage Dragon universe. And the most prominent among these super freaks was a crime syndicate / gang known as the Vicious Circle, and their mysterious leader, the Overlord. Realizing that Dragon's superhuman powers would be a terrific benefit to the police department, but also the city, Darling asks Dragon to join the police force. At first, he refuses and takes a job in the warehouse of Darling's cousin. After a number of serious incidents, including the murder of superhero Mighty Man and the brutal mauling of the superpowered superhero known as the Super Patriot, Darling took drastic action. He pays Vicious Circle members to threaten his cousin in the hope that it will prompt Dragon to actually reconsider his offer. Though this achieves Darling's desired result, the two criminals, Skullface and Hardware, kill Darling's cousin and detonate a bomb in his warehouse. Dragon joins the police, but Darling is now under the thumb of the Vicious Circle, causing him to steer the Dragon away from Vicious Circle activities. Ugh. Quite a mouthful. Let me stop for a moment, because I actually got ahead of myself there. I don't actually know if Super Patriot is powered. Let me actually see. Okay, yeah, he was super powered. I know that's weird that in video, because you can't see me doing it, I had to actually check that just to be sure, because, sometimes you get excited and you say stuff. Anyway, Dragon later would gain a girlfriend, Debbie Harris, only to see her shot dead in his apartment by her jealous ex-boyfriend, Arnold Dimple. Dragon falls into a deep depression as a result of this. Dimple would return to plague the Dragon on several occasions as the Fiend, who makes a deal with the devil to gain supernatural powers. Wow. Okay, as well as being kept away from Vicious Circle activities, Dragon would be loaned out to other police forces across the country to help them deal with superpowered criminals. While on loan to the NYPD, he actually met the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who he assisted multiple times in later comics. Also, during his time in New York, there was a large prison break that had occurred, and a large number of powerful and dangerous criminals were killed. This is the first time the Chicago PD lost a star witness against Overlord. Hardware, who intended to give evidence against the criminal, would be shot dead. Though Darling, who was a captain at this point, though his Freak Force program had failed, Dragon had carried a lasting relationship with one of its former members, which was Rapture, who was a former prostitute that had electrical abilities, and she would later have a child. Meanwhile, Overlord's second-in-command, Cyberface, broke away from the Vicious Circle to form a rival gang / organization. And Cyberface was later arrested, but like Hardware before him, he would be killed before he'd be able to testify. Ultimately, Cyberface was resurrected and later led the Vicious Circle under the control of Horde, another recurring Savage Dragon villain. Dragon would make his first attempt to arrest Overlord, who easily defeated him and left him impaled upon a church spire. Dragon was believed to be dead, but regenerated from his wounds afterwards. This is not the only time that Dragon was missing and presumed dead. It becomes both a recurring theme and a running joke in the series. During his recovery, Dragon was attacked by a person under the mental control of a strange worm. After the dissemination of this creature, Dragon went on a rampage, during which many innocent bystanders were injured and or killed. He was finally stopped by the vigilante Mace, and the worms were traced to Horde. The rampage resulted in a massive negative backlash against the Chicago PD, and Dragon's biggest naysayer, R. Richard Richards. Wow. I'm gonna go off on a side note. That is the fucking most retarded name that you can ever give a character. Just saying. Took this opportunity to attack Dragon with a robotic weapon dubbed the Dragon Slayer. Later, Dragon would encounter She-Dragon, a young superpowered female who had modeled herself after him. Following an attack on the police station and the murder of Cyberface, who was later resurrected, Dragon would lead a SWAT team to finally take down the Overlord. The battle was harsh, and every member of the SWAT team perished except for Dragon, who was vehemently skinned alive. Even in his weakened state, he was able to finally unmasked the Overlord as Mafia boss Antonio Seghetti, Seghetti, who subsequently falls to his death. After aiding the TMNT a second time, Dragon narrowly survived another attack by the Fiend, which left him nearly crippled after his bones healed incorrectly. To make matters worse, Chicago was in the midst of a brutal gang war that had arose as the result of the Overlord's death. The vicious circle, once kept tightly organized by Overlord, had since separated into several factions that were battling for criminal supremacy. Dragon was found by a friendly cabbie and Mighty Man, who used his super strength to reset Dragon's bones. After recuperating from this ordeal, Dragon fought off another prison break, this time in a maximum security facility torn open by the newly resurrected Cyberface. This battle marked the end of the gang war, and Cyberface had assumed control of the vicious circle. This victory was followed by difficult times for Dragon, and after a number of crossovers with other Image characters, including Wildstar and the Max, Dragon would encounter Spawn and ultimately was sent to hell by the Fiend. The Fiend can possess living bodies, and his powers are fueled by the capacity of hate of those he possessed. His last victim was Debbie Harris's mother, who was unaware that the demon possessed her and was the spirit of her daughter's murderer. While in hell, a fist fight occurred between God and the devil. Okay, I'd love to see that. And God finally overcomes the devil. He warned his defeated opponent, "Don't fuck with God." Just as the amnesiac Dragon begins to ask about his origins, God returned him to Earth. I'm sorry, I gotta laugh at that. Don't fuck with God. Okay, afterwards, things grew steadily worse for Dragon. He was unable to save ill-fated cop Phil Dirt with a blood transfusion. Meanwhile, Rapture, pregnant with Savage Dragon's baby, had suffered internal damage when the baby kicked. The unborn baby, having inherited his father's strength, and Rapture entered premature labor, the Dragon was not able to reach the hospital in time, and the baby appeared to have died. However, in truth, the infant was taken by the Covenant of the Sword, a shadowy organization bent on a global takeover. Or a world takeover, whichever. Alright, shadowy world takeover. Here we go. After a crossover with Dark Horse character Hellboy, Savage Dragon will be caught up in the Mars Attacks Image and Mars Attacks Savage Dragon event. Okay then. In which he was responsible for destroying the Martian bases on Mars using a Martian growth rate. This resulted in their retreat and possible extinction. While he was gone, the Vicious Circle had taken over the city. Returning home to a devastated Chicago, Dragon was captured and publicly crucified by the Circle. Dragon survived and would go on to defeat most of the villains, but Dragon's new superior, Captain Mendez, suspended him for having been missing for so long. During his suspension, he would spend a few months as a bounty hunter and helped rebuild the city after the Martian invasion. Behind the scenes during this period, Rob Liefeld had actually departed from Image Comics. God, I wish he'd quit doing comics, period. The Mars Attacks Image event and the Shattered Image crossover were used as a way to phase out characters created by Liefeld from the collective Image universe, including the Youngbloods. In the pages of the Savage Dragon, Larson has the Dragon approached by the U.S. government to form a superhuman task force to replace the Youngbloods. After negotiations, the team was dubbed the Special Operations Strike Force, or SOS. This team would include much of the super-powered supporting cast of the book, including Jennifer Murphy, a super-strong, invulnerably single mother first introduced in the Savage Dragon Sex and Violence miniseries. Despite being the founding member of the team, Dragon spends little time as a member. Later, on a dying parallel Earth, a murderous despot named Dark Lord begins to swap parts of his Earth with parts of the Dragon's. Dragon leads the SOS, including Jennifer Murphy and his former girlfriend Rapture, to this world to stop Dark Lord. Rapture is killed by Dark Lord, and Dragon and Jennifer are separated from the rest of the team. While the remaining members of SOS manage to stop the transfer and escape back to their own Earth, Jennifer and Dragon are forced to find their way off of a dying planet. While they make their escape, Dragon attempts to find this Earth's Rapture, only to find that this world finds this world's Debbie Harris instead. The threesome are lost in space for many months, and Dragon is once again presumed dead. However, he eventually landed on Godworld, where Debbie dies but is revived as an angel. Jennifer and Dragon are caught in a battle between Thor and Hercules. No, not the Marvel equivalents, but the mythical ones. And then sent back to Earth by All-God. Debbie does not return with them. Following this, he fights a Doctor Doom-like armored dictator before returning to Chicago on leave and striking up a casual sexual relationship with his former partner, Alex Wilde. In giant-sized issue 50, many of the series' subplots are resolved in a climactic battle among most of the series cast. Dragon is killed by the mystic Abner Cadaver. However, the Wizard is murdered midway through this by William Johnson, and the Dragon is bonded with him. And the series would actually go on to be, the series title would change to Savage She-Dragon, in which... Oh, see, there goes the audio again. Starting to get all wonky over here. It's making me scared. Okay, are we back on track? Okay, good. Whew. Got scared there for a moment. Okay, the series would change its title to Savage She-Dragon for 5 issues, featuring her as the main character during an attack by the God Squad to retrieve various super freaks that were descendants of the gods. This led to the SOS returning to Godworld and its accidental destruction of SOS member and former Deadly Duo member, Kid Avenger. During this time, William Johnson realizes he and the Dragon are sharing bodies, and shortly thereafter, Dragon finds he has the ability to take over Johnson's body so they can become a masked superhero. While he is helping She-Dragon, Johnson's fiancée, Rita Medermaid, Mederma. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Where was I? Medermade. Okay, it's kidnapped by Johnson's brother, Ralph, and they both encounter an individual wearing the Overlord armor. While rescuing her, Johnson is shot, Ralph is killed by Overlord, and Dragon is given full possession of his body. Abner Cadaver returns, made up of parts of dead God Squad members, Dark Lord and Dragon's arm, and engages in battle with Fontai, Fonti, the mystical being who was once Horde. After Fontai's victory, he separates the dragon from Johnson and returns Dragon to his normal body. Having admitted their love, Jennifer and Dragon begin to date. After a fight with Imposter posing as Rapture, Dragon proposes to Jennifer, and their wedding follows in the next issue, in which Jennifer is abruptly killed by the new Overlord. In truth, she was replaced with Imposter beforehand by the Covenant of the Sword. Though he had only been semi-active before, the Dragon officially resigns from the SOS and becomes the legal guardian of Jennifer's daughter, Angel. In the following issue, however, the Overlord subplot is tied up after Dragon defeats his new team. Dragon kills Overlord, and he is revealed as supporting character Vic Nixon, who had worn the armor to spy on Rita. The armor then corrupted him. After this, the armor is destroyed. Following the resolution of the new Overlord plotline, the series spent most of its issues wrapping up all the remaining subplots. This was preparation for an eventual revamp in issue 75, with the Dragon as a single parent looking after Angel, and eventually losing a custody battle for her because of his dangerous lifestyle. He then would date a television producer named Marcy Howard, resuming his casual affair with Alex Wilde, and dated Anne Stevens before she is murdered, while a number of superpowered children and adults were kidnapped by the Covenant of the Sword. After losing custody of Angel and Anne's murder, Dragon and Mighty Man, now former Freak Force member Dart, begin searching for the missing Super Patriot. This led them to the Covenant of the Sword, which had in its possession Super Patriot, Jennifer, and Dragon's child. Dragon and Mighty Man are captured and eventually rescued in a long battle similar to the one in issue 50, in which a number of characters were killed. And it is revealed that the Covenant was formed by Damien Darklord, a time traveler who was the enemy of the vigilante named Super Tough. This man became Darklord and started life as Damien, the Son of Liberty, Super Patriot's daughter, who was raped during the Mars Attacks event. Damien also built and detonated the Niga bomb. No, I did not say the N-word for those who think that I have a fucking lisp. Because apparently a lot of you think that I have a speech impediment, made up of superpowered individuals that depowered every non-natural freak in the world. Dragon then kills him. And with issue 76, with issue 76, the series changed into a Jack Kirby-inspired post-apocalyptic Despotarian story. Dragon is stuck in a new reality he created by killing the infant Damien Darklord, which prevented him from going back in time, and with most of the mutated and monstrous population of the world trying to kill him, Dragon finds his house to be a crater and believes Jennifer and Angel are dead. The Dragon has encounters with Wildstar and Madman, and finds out that during his time possessed without Mace to stop him, he went on a much longer rampage, having killed Alex Wilde. The Dragon also discovers that Cyberface is now president. Oh, there we go. That he is now president of the United States. And that he has Super Patriot under his control. The Dragon organizes a group of old enemies and allies to defeat Cyberface after fulfilling a commitment to Rex Dexter, who helped him overthrow Cyberface by saving his daughter. Dragon returns a hero and finds his way back to Chicago and is reunited with Jennifer and Angel, who in fact had survived. Dragon then finds his old world had survived, as well as the Savage World. His counterpart from Dark World, this Dragon, was defeated, but the Dragon's old Earth was destroyed by a world-devouring Galactus-like being called Universo. What the fuck? Despite the best efforts of the Dragon, and his son, there we go, his son Malcolm, and who was left floating in space after its destruction. He is able to save Alex Wilde from that world. After this, he marries Jennifer and lives with her, Angel, and Angel's new pet, Mr. Glum, who is secretly plotting to kill Dragon. To conclude with the 2004 presidential election, Larson created a corrupt politician, Ronald Winston Uris, or Your Ass, who engineers a successful write-in campaign to elect the Dragon president of the U.S. However, once his criminal intentions and relationship to the criminal Dread Knight are exposed, the Supreme Court disallows these votes. This leads to a vengeful Uris to attack the Dragon using the armor of his father, Dread Knight, who was an old foe of super patriots. Behind the scenes, Eric Larson was made publisher was made publisher of Image, causing a nearly year-long publishing gap between issue 121 and issue 122 of the series. The title resumed regular publication in January of 2006, with the first story involving a vengeful scientist from Iraq sending an almost indestructible robot to kill a president. Mr. Glum's plans for world domination were realized using the power of the God Gun, a weapon able to grant 3 wishes to its user. Mr. Glum fires the gun and asserts his control of the planet while the Dragon is incapacitated in a hospital, having lost his rapid healing abilities. Glum was, at the time, on the run with the Dragon's stepdaughter Angel after he caused her to grow to more than 100 feet tall, and she accidentally destroyed her house and crippled her mother. The two became partners, and Angel adopts a merciless personality, while Glum set the people of Earth to work with the impossible task of making the planet look like his face, as his old world did. Dragon is revived with his healing abilities restored and is able to defy Glum's control because of a loophole in his wish. That means he cannot control extraterrestrials. The Dragon is unable to get close enough to Glum due to the various robots and villains Glum has under control. However, the intervention of a number of characters from the comic series Wanted, who had come to steal the God Gun, allows Dragon to destroy the weapon, negating Glum's wish. During the story, Vanguard's spaceship is destroyed, freeing Universo, who was imprisoned on it. He begins to suck the energy from Earth once more. Universo and its herald are killed by Solar Man, a Superman-like hero who has become murderous and was wished out of existence using the God Gun, a wish undone by the Dragon's destruction of the weapon. She-Dragon also returns from Dimension X with the Angel from the Dragon's original world of origin. They are being pursued by the Dark World Dragon and a new villainous Battle Axe. And why the fuck not? This feels like a Looney Tunes cartoon rather than me reading off the origin of a fucking comic book character. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this is the last damn character that I'm doing, and yet this is probably the most hilarious and fucked up character to kind of end this batch with. Just, what the hell? That's all I gotta say is, what the hell? What the hell am I even reading? I don't know, but let's fucking continue, because we're almost done. And this is probably gonna be like 40 minutes long. After Angel and Malcolm's return to the New World, Savage Dragon is left to face a new array of troubles. With Jennifer now disappeared and presumed dead, 2 super strong kids but ill-equipped to face the return to normalcy after months spent in isolation, Angel has now learning deficits, and Malcolm is near illiterate and no income to care for his family. Dragon returns to the police force. Meanwhile, a new overlord takes over the vicious circle, resuming his attacks over the city, and Savage, hospitalized after a fight, is ambushed and killed by a new freak with the power to steal the memories and the life force of his enemies. Due to the huge amount of life force held by Dragon and his powerful immune system, the freak absorbs all his memories and physical characteristics, becoming essentially a new iteration of the dragon. The imposter dragon has the remains of his former body packed into a preserved solution by Rex and restores his normal life. Even this new lease on life appears to be short-lived, as the new overlord, trying to bargain with Savage Dragon for his allegiance, literally blows his head and torso away. The imposter dragon, brought in by the Vicious Circle Laboratories for analysis, revives himself as a crazed, unstoppable, deformed powerhouse with conflicting memories, bent on nourishing himself on the superpowered Angel and Malcolm. Still knowing nothing about the actions of the imposter dragon, Angel and Malcolm seek a way to retrieve the body of Savage Dragon, despite being faced with Rex and the perspective of creating nothing more than a soulless being or a mind-addling monstrosity due to the brain matter lost during the attack. They set off to ask Nurse Stevens for the last blood sample of Dragon, hoping to use its regenerative abilities to speed on the recovery and the resurrection of the corpse. Whew. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Speed on the recovery and the resurrection of the Savage Dragon corpse. The Vicious Circle, however, overpowered them and stole the blood sample to proposedly create an army of dragon clones. As a last resort, after being faced by the imposter dragon who attacked Rex and is frozen in the preservative solution, Rex and Malcolm agree to transfuse part of Malcolm's blood into the dragon corpse. Dragon is revived, however, he lost all the memories of his former life. Concerned about the newer, harder attitude of Dragon, the new overlord has Dark Dragon sent after him. After showing a callous disregard for human life, Savage Dragon ultimately reveals to have regained every shred of his past memory as Kerr the Emperor. After beating up the Dark Dragon, he eats his brains, killing him for his defiance. He then proceeds to alienate from himself Malcolm, planning vengeance over the Vicious Circle, now using Dragon's blood to empower his members. The new Overlord decides to strike a truce with the police department, as seen in issue 159. He lends the help of all the super freaks in his command to stop Kerr. As the last attempt fails, Kerr shreds his facade, proclaiming his identity and retelling his origins, that the first time in-universe speaking to Malcolm and an angel, battling his way through several enemies including Vanguard, an unnamed shapeshifter taking She-Dragon's appearance, Glum, the original angel, and other friends and foes from his past. Kerr cleanses Earth from human life using a special venom. After he battles and kills Malcolm, the imposter dragon wakes up, this time with Savage Dragon's personality fully in charge, and avenges his offspring and world by killing the Kerr dragon. Damien Overlord proceeds to restore his original look and body, giving Savage Dragon the opportunity to greet his species and leave the cleansed Earth in their care. Distraught by the consequences of Kerr's actions, he pleads with Damien Overlord for the power to travel back in time and kill Kerr before he unleashes the potion, thus creating another divulgent timeline where his family is still alive. And Damien grants his wish, mercifully killing him shortly thereafter, as Savage Dragon is a dangerous wildcard for the world. Despite a red herring implied, Damien transplanted Savage's personality in Wildstar's body. In the restored timeline, Kerr's alien son, along with a mysterious gentleman, takes away Virus Corpse, or as he's called now, the Imposter Dragon, taking it on his spaceship, where Virus and Kerr are used to return Savage Dragon to life. Savage Dragon decides to keep his resurrection hidden to Earthlings, and to make amends with his species, offers to help them find a suitable planet. After the Dragon Wars, Malcolm Dragon has taken Savage Dragon's role, along with his adopted mother, Angel. acting as protectors of the city. A schism in the Super Freaks. And here we go with the audio doing that loopy shit again. There we go. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah. Anyway, with his adopted sister Angel acting as protectors of the city, a schism of super freaks has been brought to the Overlord, working with the police department, and as part of the freaks, still engaged in villainy, and Malcolm keeps them in check. The origin would be revealed in the in Image Comics' 10th anniversary hardcover book, which was released on November 3rd of 2005. The collection featured stories by the 4 remaining Image founders: Eric Larson, Todd McFarlane, Mark Silvatry. Yeah, I can never pronounce his name correctly, and Jim Valentino, returning to the characters they first created for the company. Larson's story revealed that Dragon used to be an evil tyrant known as Emperor Kerr, who had led a nomadic race of Spacians who spent thousands of years traveling through space, trying to find a suitable planet. There we go, traveling through space, trying to find a suitable new homeworld. And after Kerr had chosen Earth, he decided to go against his people's peaceful ways and slaughter all humans. 2 scientists named Rek and Weiko, Weiko, conspired against him, giving him brain damage that erased his memory and implanted within his memories 5 days' worth of satellite TV broadcasts from Earth. He is then sent to live on Earth while his race moved on to find a new planet elsewhere. And holy shit, that is it, guys. That is the entire lesser known but awesome heroes on Savage Dragon. Despite a lot of touch and go and this and that, that is it. This is Savage Dragon's lesser known. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, however, even though it's long as hell. And this is also the end of Batch 1, guys. So by the time of this recording, I've probably got Batch 2 nearly complete, or I'm working on it. Anyway, guys, as always, comment, rate, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one.